Well, I got to thinking about it. When I do a video on a one frame nurse bee split, queenless split. So here we go. This is the situation. I already split out of this box right here. That's a 2013 2013 model Italianish queen that winters so well. Ain't worth 5 cents for honey. Well, I want to try a few of her daughters. And so, she doesn't have many nurse bees at the moment. So what I want to do is I'm going to rob a frame of mainly capped brood with some day-old larvae or so around the edges, enough for them to make a queen with. Take just that frame of brood from them. This one's got enough nurses to populate the split. So let me get the frame of brood and then we'll get to messing around that other one. I think I got plenty of time here. Oh, let's see, I'll be working that thing against the backside there. April 5, people. Let's see what happens. These things always been gentle as cats. They just are useless for honey production. Raise babies, you have bees coming out your ear if you got a yard full of them. They just kill the bees. Yeah, we got some. I might be able to make a split here. There's a few nurses in there. May not have to go elsewhere. Got enough nurses. I can split that sucker right here, right now. Just like it is. There's the old girl. I put that half gallon of syrup on them because they're a little dry. And I'm going to be gone for a while and I don't want them to go to starving. Because when all those babies hatch out, they're going to be some mouths to feed, buddy. Alright, so when I make this split with this frame right here, you see how many bees are going to be hatching out in the next 9 days or so? I mean, that's a lot of bees. Now, what you want Maybe that'll macro in there. You see those young larvae, the youngest ones. A lot of them are too old, but right up against the outside edge in here, they'll put a queen cell somewhere in there. Several, probably. Alright, and if you look up against this edge here, same deal, just right up against the edge, they'll probably hang a few cells right in there. So they got enough to do it with. So most of them are nurses covering that frame, so I just take that frame like it is. But I'm going to add more bees to it too. Alright, let me show y'all what's going on here. We've got plenty of population. I'm going to use that for a finisher, cell finisher, later. So, what we have in this thing, this little 5-framer, is a frame of open nectar mainly. And I got from another box that was near nectar bound. Or should I say winter syrup bound. I'm letting them rob that out. So what I did was, I got a frame of dry but drawn wax right here. Okay, it's mostly worker cells. This heavy frame of nectar, pollen, whatever, some capped. So this I know is mainly nurse bees because they cover and brood, so I ain't gonna mess with shaking them. All right, they got some maggots up against the edges to make a queen with, or multiples. They'll make multiples for an insurance policy and then want to come out and tear all the rest of them up. All right, so that's that. If I were taking nurse bees from another box, since this one's got so many, I'm gonna take them from here. But if I'm taking nurse bees from another box, I'm gonna still do it the way that I would have done it. I would have shook all the bees off of this frame to conserve them in this box, the bees, and then I would have populated it the way I'm getting ready to from another hive. So what I would have done is I would have took that nuke with the beeless frame of brood that I wanted to use, and I would have set it out away from the hive like this. Alright, you got that in the frame. So now, when I shake nurses in front of the entrance of the split, they will march into it as though they might be a little swarm. The field bees will fly up in the air and go back home. So that's how you can judge how many nurses you get, and you'll know that they will stay because they have never oriented to another box yet. They're still babies. You see this frame of open brood right here. Wide open brood. That's something else you don't want to do. You wouldn't want to make a split with this frame because they'd be pouring their heart and soul into raising that brood, and they'd be putting less energy in raising a queen. You see, the frame I put in there just barely had a little bit of open brood around the edges. Most of it was capped, so they're going to put every ounce of effort they got into raising a few emergency queens quickly, so they'll get fed better that way. But those are nurses. The ones that are field bees will fly home. This right here is a frame of open nectar. It won't be worth 5 cents for that, as most of those are probably field bees that have returned with loads. So all they're going to do is fly back to the house if you shake them off of it. This is a frame of eggs and very, very newly hatched larvae. Matter of fact, no, it's just eggs. That's a frame I put in there the other day when I split off of it. So most of these will be nurses naturally. You notice how many of them hit the ground and never moved? In comparison to that last frame that I shook, most of those are staying. Most of them are nurses. That's how you can tell just about how many nurses you're going to have in that box. You can make a guesstimation by seeing how many you leave on the ground to march in. Also, it's kind of good because you'll catch it if you shake a queen off. You'll spot her right quick on the ground. It'd pick her back up and throw her in the hive. It can almost be possible that I'd shake her off this frame. Yeah, that's plenty of nurses. You also got to bear in mind that that whole frame was nothing but cap brood in there, so that's going to be a busting little nuke anyway. It's going to be wet. So I can pretty much assume that they're going to easily cover that frame like crazy. Because it already had nurses on it when I put it in there. That's a very well populated split right there. That'll be a well fed queen too, even though it's an emergency. So let me put this thing back together. To speed the march up, just hit them with a little smoke. You'll also make any field bees freak out and fly home too. That'll just speed the whole deal up. They'll figure out where an entrance is right there in just a minute and get with it. I can probably made 2 of them. That's why I say I don't like a queen for the lack of honey production, but as far as making bees, man, she flat just fires them out. She would lay during the honey flow probably 4.5 boxes. Never store a drop of honey and starve to death about August if you didn't feed them every mouthful they eat. Good for making bees though. See, all of those are little young nurses. You can tell they just as confused as they can be. They don't know what to do. So they'll work real good right there. Alright, I'm going to stop this thing off. That's going to be a boring watch. Take them a while to figure out what's happening. So in the event that you, say, bought yourself a mated queen and she came to you in a cage, this would be the kind of split that you would want to introduce her to. Because all of these bees are young, they have no reason to kill a queen. They are vulnerable. They only have reason to accept one. So that's the way you'd want to do it. You'd want to introduce a mated queen to them. You can just about direct release one to them, but certainly after 24 hours, they just love one to death. Yeah. So, just thought I'd throw that in there. But you see, I got me a little baby March going in there. Isn't that the coolest thing you ever saw? They're getting the idea now. That'll make a nice specimen, a good example of what her daughter could possibly be. And so if I test her going into next winter, hopefully I'll get one that makes it, and then I'll know that I can get her mated to some surviving drones next year to keep that little line going. It's good for making bees, I'll give them that much. Alright, I guess about it, ain't it? See, just the amount of them covering the face right there is just about enough for a one frame split, but that thing right there is going to be set. Very good population. That box will build up. If she gets mated, speculating she gets mated, those 3 frames in there will turn into 7, and then they'll draw a frame a week until July. So they'll make a 7 frame single, double, just about a 7 frame triple, all on their own right there. You keep empty frame cycling in it, and one little bitty box. Productive little creatures. Another thing to note, you have to understand that what you're putting in there is nurse bees. They're not oriented, they're not field bees, they don't have the capability of going out and foraging. So whatever they got in the hive, they're going to eat their heads off for the next 10 days. That's why that frame of nectar or honey's in there. They'll dry that slap up before they get a chance to get out and fly. Plus, you got to understand that whole frame of babies that comes out of the cells, they got bellies that they got to fill up. That's going to dry that frame up too. You got to take all of that into consideration. Even during a honey flow, if you put them in there dry, they could starve themselves just about to death before any of them could fly out and get a bite to eat. So, yeah. I'll do a little thinking on it. I reckon that's it. Just about got all the little babies in there. I'm going to set that thing somewhere here now. Another deal too, if for whatever reason this sparked robbing right here, the robbers would be oriented to this little spot, and once you moved them, it would deter them a little bit, but I ain't had any problems with robbing much this year. Even though the flow is, there is no flow right now. Robbing hadn't been an issue. Alright, so we might have us a few casualties, but anyway, I'm going to count them in the box and take that thing over and set it in its semi-permanent location. Queen get mated. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking it had to. I had the bottom board on there upside down to keep robbers out, and left it on there, so they all had to beg in top. I was wondering why they was paying that so much attention. So I think most of them up. Up on the cone, we're gonna find out. Yeah. Now that got it. So there they are. I'll make them happy. I am going to plug a top entrance of grass like I've done these other ones, just to kind of keep the robbers off. They got enough bees to heat it, so that won't be an issue there. We may not get another frost, I don't know. Later, people. There's your queenless nurse bee split.